Well, welcome to the grand finale of 2024 for the Mount Mindset podcast. It's been a year, hasn't it? We've seen a lot. The world has changed, rules have changed. Sometimes to the better, and sometimes not so well. But let's focus on the positive things from this year. There's a lot of good that's came out of this year. I must say, looking back, we can be all guilty of not looking back and not seeing what's ahead. Not seeing what's been in the past and not giving ourselves the credit for things that we've done well. So thought this would be a good opportunity, as this podcast will be getting released between Christmas and New Year. You'll be off your work. There'll be, quiet time. Die Hard will be on the movie somewhere on the TV. Home Alone will be on there somewhere. And you might find yourself thinking about what has the year in store got for you. And you might want to find yourself reviewing the year gone by. So I thought I would take a look at what we've done here at Mount Mindset. Now, it's been an interesting year for myself personally. We launched Mount Mindset, an online coaching community for training people's minds. That has been a success beyond my wildest dreams. It started off as just sort of an idea that I would throw out there to share some of the principles. It spawned some of the most incredible solo episodes, that I never thought they'd get the traction that they have. I thought they would just be sort of, good wisdom to put out there in case anyone needed it, with no real thought of, this might be something that people share and comment on and, send you messages to say, look, it's really changed their lives. So it was incredible to see that. We started the Mount Mindset Hill Climbs. So each month we've been meeting up and taking on a challenge of the Scottish Hills, which represents exactly what we do at Mount Mindset, which is pushing through that initial resistance that we all feel when we're not maybe in the right frame of mind, or maybe we're taking on something new. Maybe we have some resistance there, and it's about pushing into that resistance and building the confidence that you can actually get through it. So they've been real big markers there. You've been able to see people that have never climbed a hill be regular hill climbers. They're looking forward to the Sunday, that last Sunday of each month, seeing everybody going up there in their Mount Mindset t-shirts. If you don't know, we arrange for t-shirts for all the climbers, and they wear them with honour climbing that hill. We've had kids as young as 5 and 6 going up the hill, and people that are classed as pensioners, and people that have survived cancer, people that have survived injuries, people that have got illnesses, and they're smashing it. They're getting up there, and they're part of a crew. Everybody's motivating them. They feel good. They feel like it's something that they would have never thought they would have done, and they're pushing the boundaries. And that's what life is all about. Is about growth. It's about growing and finding yourself pushing what's possible. One of my favourite episodes that I've done this year was when did we stop being kids? Because one of the things that I've seen when I'm watching the kids go up the hills is they just have no idea of limiting beliefs. They just don't. They're so free, just so incredibly majestic in the way that they approach life. And I think to myself, when did we stop being like that? And the truth is that kid's inside us all, and it's just we need to rekindle that. We need to reconnect with that, because it's amazing to see. In one of the greatest places you can see it's on the hill climbs. Business and personal life has went from strength to strength, with the great privilege of getting to travel the world, being in many different places, being in business. Family time, where we went to different parts of the world, spent some time with the wife and the kids there, seen some amazing places. So it's been an incredible 2024. I've been very, very grateful to have been able to make the most out of it, that's for sure. But the thing that I was reviewing was, what did we discuss in the podcasts? And let's have a look at some of the topics that we discussed, because as you know, we've had Big Mikey on, some of the conspiracy theories episodes, which were a great hit. We've had Robert Neal going through, the underworld all the way through to the world of trading. So I even just think conspiracy theories all the way to Wall Street and all the way back. We've had people that have came on and discussed their own journey. We've had property guys. We've had guys that started with nothing. We've had guys that have had everything and lost all and then started again and become a success. So it's been a wild ride. So what I thought I would do is I would go and find out what you guys responded to really well and just go over some of those episodes and what we covered off and review what those lessons were so that we can go into 2024 reminding ourselves what we picked up throughout the year and what we can take with us into 2025 to make sure it's an incredible success. So Paddy McIntyre, 1 and 2, key learnings that we had here was resilience. He started off as a gang fighter, being a bit of a boy, making just bad decision after bad decision, and he, was on a trajectory of life that wasn't working. It certainly didn't have a bright future. And we went into Paddy's story, and one of the things that came out of that is, despite all the decisions he made that weren't right, and despite all the positions that he put himself in, and he was very very honest. He knew that he was to blame, but even within that, he found a passion in a sport using physical activity in the world of calisthenics to go and prosper and to shine. And even though that road wasn't a straight line, what he did was he worked out that wherever he fell off the path and wherever he wasn't firing on all cylinders, calisthenics would be the thing that would bring him back. So that was a great story to tell the power of resilience and physical activity, because it can be, in the world of Instagram and fitness models and, people looking amazing, you can get lost in the superficial nature of it, and the vanity and it being, looking good and appearing a certain way. And it's great to look good. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you can look better, then why not? Of course, go for it if it makes you feel good, because you naturally will. If you look better, you'll feel great. But there's something more to it. That physical activity does something to us, and we're meant to move. And I think that's what Paddy found is that he found something that he could focus his attention on. Instead of it being a negative, he found something that was a positive, and he went from strength to strength and gone on to become a world champion in the field. So it was an absolutely incredible episode. So the power of physical fitness. The second one that came up was tough love gurus like Andrew Tate, Andy Elliott, and why does it inspire millions? That question isn't obvious, because typically, you would reach for the things like, it's clickbait, attention seeking, over glorification, all these sorts of things. And I suppose his doubters and detractors would say that. But one of the things that these guys are delivering that we haven't had around for a while is that tough love. Because whether you agree with them or not, the format that they're taking is a serious, unfiltered, straight to the point, brutal approach. And that's been lacking for a number of years, with this whole rise of victim mentality and victimhood and trauma and suffering and, being offended by anything, and this sort of whole namby-pamby snowflake generation that's sort of seemed to have spawned. People really like the blunt truth, because deep down we need it. We know that when you're off track, you just need someone to say, hey, look, get your finger out, get on with it. Throughout this year, I've had the pleasure of mentoring quite a eclectic group, shall we say. And that's the thing, is that what you want is you want someone that's got your best intentions. You want someone that wants the best from you. And they are going to be brutally hard on you when you start your nonsense. When you start your BS, they are going to call you out quicker than you can say boo to a goose, because it's going to get you on track. It's going to remind you to stay focused. It's going to remind you what you need to weed out. That's why tough love seems to get millions and millions of followers. So love them or hate them, that's why it's working. So the underlying message that they have is become more resilient, right? In this generation of let me talk about my weakness, how about remembering your strength? How about developing your strength? Instead of focusing on your trauma, let's look at where you can be. What lessons could you have learned? How can you use that to become a better version of yourself? Instead of saying mental health, what about mental strength? How about building, just the same as you'd build the muscle in the gym, how about building your strength of mind? Not a bad idea. So the next one, all your excuses are lies. Yes. personal favourite of mine. As you can imagine, ties in with my ethos quite well. This was my book review of Jocko Willink. So all the guests that we had on, we have had Jack Gunn, we've had Big Adam, Big Mikey, Robbie Frew, Paddy as well. It's that tough love. It's that sort of edge that people need. They're like, yes. Even the twins, Jack and Kel, that were on, Big Joel Casabandi, he was the same. Loved the sort of just no filter, no nonsense approach, because as long as it's coming from a good place, if someone has great intent for you but is delivering it in a brutal fashion, you're going to listen because you know that they're looking out for you. And these are the things with Jocko's book. He just cuts right to the point, straight to it. All your excuses are lies, because that inner voice is a saboteur, it's a backstabber, it's a soothsayer, and it's going to try and keep you in the comfort zone. So do not listen to it. And that's why these things, the rise of discipline and accountability and being authentic, that's why this is happening at this point in time, is that in a world where there's filters and there's Photoshop and there's AI, and you don't really know what's real, and everyone's sort of falling in line with projecting their best selves. It's the cold, hard, steely truth that people like, because they know it's real and it resonates with them, and they feel it, and they know it deep down. Your intuition knows that you're BSing yourself. And the book was very, very good at pointing that out. So a personal favourite of mine throughout the year was actually doing that book review. The next one that was a big hit, which again, I wouldn't have believed that this one would have even registered on people's radar, but yous guys loved it. Gym intimidation. So what happened there? Well, it seems to be a lot of you people out there, a lot of you guys, a lot of you people that are followers and subscribers of the channel, this seemed to hit a note that you have had fear or judgment or had some sort of misgiving about getting in that gym. All these people would be staring at you. They all think that you shouldn't be in. How dare you be in their gym? You shouldn't be here, and you look terrible, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And it seems to be the thing that's the thought process. And that episode we went over that it couldn't be further away from the truth. People in the gym love seeing people get in the gym because they're trying, they're improving. Remember what I said, the heaviest weight in the entire gym is the front door. So if you've lifted that and you've got yourself in, massive kudos to you. I mean, you've seen everybody in the gym, for the people in the most phenomenal shape, incredible shape, bodies that look like they've been carved from granite, goddesses of amazing proportions and symmetry and beauty, guys that just look like they're so dialed in, all the way to somebody that's let themselves go and they're massively overweight and obese. But do you know what all those people have in common? From one end of the extreme all the way to the other, they're all in there to improve. All of them. And that's what they have in common. That's why you have a camaraderie in the gym. We were having a discussion today with a young guy. He was picked on, he was bullied, and if you were using the stereotype, would he fit in a gym? No. But we, us guys, the usual crew, sat down, had a chat with him, had great interaction with him. The guy felt great, felt top of the world, because that's what it's about, is that you are in there, you belong to something, and what you belong to is a group of people that no matter where you're at, you've made the decision to start, you've lifted the heaviest weight, which is the front door, and you're in there to improve. So keep going. Remember, consistency is the key. Set yourselves a goal and go hit it. So next one on the list, leap of faith. So this is all around when you want to start something new. You might have that. It's the time for the New Year's resolutions. You might have this very thing going through your mind right now. Number 5, leap of faith. So have you ever felt that you wanted to try something new? Have you ever had an idea and you think, what would it be like if I got that? But you're not alone. And in fact, data shows that the time that this appears most often in the calendar is right now. So what should you know about taking a leap of faith? The first thing is, if you're going to do something that you haven't done before, risk should not be shied away from. And when I say risk, I don't mean like, risk to life or danger to yourself. Not that type of risk. I mean risk is in that you don't feel comfortable or certain or sure about what you're doing. That type of risk. Nothing dramatic's going to happen. You're taking a little gamble. You're outside your comfort zone. Maybe you're, getting in front of a camera or a mic, or applying for a job, or trying something new, or going in the gym, for the last topic. But you go in there and you're actually attempting something that puts you outside your comfort zone. And what you feel is that a risk. And the risk is that you're doing something new. You might feel that you look silly, or people, say, what'd you do that for? So it's just that sort of fear of failure. Embrace failure. Failure's going to happen. And when you do something new, every single thing in your life that you've tried and got good at one point you weren't good at. Just like walking. You walk now without even thinking about it. But at one point in life, you couldn't walk. You would fall over. You couldn't even stand up. But you practiced and failed. And practiced and failed, and practiced and failed, and practiced and failed, and practiced and failed. And then at some point, guess what happened? You got the hang of it. And then you took your first step, and then you took another step, and then you fell, and then you go back and you tried it again and again and again and again and again. You didn't just say, right, oh look, the kid's not a walker, let's put him in a wheelchair. You kept going. Well, guess what you do with your leap of faith? You keep going. If you look at all their episodes, all the guests that are on there talk about like the doubt, the fear, the imposter syndrome, the anxiety, the worry, the fear of failure, all the time. What did they do? Kept going. So my advice, if you're doing a leap of faith, give it a try, learn to fail, keep failing until you get good at it. And keep going until you're really good at it. And then look back and go, oh, that's the framework. And then go and find a new leap of faith to go and do. That is life. That's what life's about. So next one, the one-track mind. So what happened in this podcast was we discussed having complete focus. And the reason that is a really important and often overlooked thing is that the world now is so easy to get distracted. The distractions are everywhere. Social media, all the different platforms, short form content, podcasts, videos, adverts, YouTube, music, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. Your attention is being demanded from just about everywhere. And with the rise of AI, things are getting more and more extreme in terms of extracting your information, your attention, your time. So what does that mean in terms of when you want to try something new? Well, first of all, it puts you in a great position, because if you've made the decision to get focused and disciplined on a particular thing, the chances are your field of adversaries, opponents, or people that you're competing against is typically going to be very small. In fact, it's going to be tiny. And do you know why? Because they are all distracted too. So if you get your focus dialed in, you get locked in, you build a framework, you attach discipline and consistency, you will over time build confidence and certainty that your outcome is going to happen. And guess what? Nobody else is doing it of any number. So what do you think? It is the best time to do it. That is why you want to get locked in like a one-track mind. So if you've got something this year, looking into 2025, this new year coming, and you want to really, really make some moves, get in a one-track mind. Check out that podcast. It was very, very good. If any of these resonate with you, go back and check out the full episodes. They will be in the show notes. So the next one is sort of falling forward. It's carrying on from where we left off in terms of the embracing failure. So the one that comes to mind, it was actually an episode back in 2023 with Chris Crooks. So Chris Crooks is, by all intents and purposes, the guy in the tattoo industry. And he built out a niche. It was a sort of maverick marketeer before social media, and carved out a real sort of place for himself in the industry. And what I found fascinating about Chris was, you know, outwardly it looks like he has this Midas touch that everything he touches turns to gold. But digging into it, he was just throwing the ball out. He says it was like having the ball on the chain attached to his ankle, and he would throw the ball out in front of him. So rather than let him drag him down, he would just keep throwing the ball out to see where it went. He says he just had the perseverance where he would do that. And that's the excitement, that's the adventure. You know, see, when you look at the other side of, you know, fear and doubt, like there's excitement and adventure there. And fear and doubt are just things in your mind. Like, what really do you have to be afraid of? All right, you looked aft, okay. You looked aft loads of times. You know, was it materially damaging your life? No. We've all looked silly. We've all done stuff that we're like, okay, fair enough. Not everybody's looking at it like, oh, well, that was that. And then they get on with it. Well, don't let it stop you. Fall forward. Because like we said before, if you learn to fall into your failures and pick up the wisdom, a failure is an opportunity for you to learn something. Now let's take that a little bit further. That failure is telling you what you need to learn. It's also telling you if you learn this, you're going to improve. You're going to take yourself away from failure and towards success. That's why you this year, coming up, 2025, should fall forward. So body and mind, here's a great thing. I mean, Big Mikey was on talking about his incredible journey from fat to fit. I mean, if you could ever look at a cartoon character, like if you could make a real guy cartoonish, you would make Big Mikey. He's 6'8" or 6'7" now. I think he's an inch shorter from doing squats or carrying his gut. I don't know if that's debatable which one it is. A gut that he no longer has, right enough, because he's in incredible shape. But it shows the power of when he was overweight and at his fattest, he was the most unhappy that he'd ever been in his life. And it showed the connection between your physical activity, your physical appearance, and your mental state of mind. He just was not a happy guy. He was just rolling with it. He felt miserable, he looked miserable, and he looked like a bag of shit, and he felt like a bag of shit. So he made a decision to change. And what happened is he went on this upward spiral of improving his mind and improving himself. He started with the body, but the first decision he ever made was in his mind to change. That's the power of making the decision and then committing to that decision. And as you'll hear on the episode, that consistency and dedication wasn't always there, because there was some fits and starts where he would, you know, tell a fib to his coach and say that he was on his diet and he wasn't, and then, you know, the coach would take some more food off him, and then they would have an even harder week and he should have just come clean. That's the thing. When you're doing these things, like, just because someone has achieved it, know that the road that they got to achieve it was full of bumps, as will yours be, because those bumps will teach you lessons. And old habits do die hard, but they do die, and you can replace them with new, powerful, more empowering habits. But it doesn't mean that the old habits don't go down without a fight, because they will. And Mikey was a great example of that. And he went cartoonishly to the other end of the spectrum, where he's this huge, big, muscly, tattooed fucking giant, and he's ripped and lean, and you get these cartoonishly full muscles, and you're in awe of his transformation. And it shows the power of making a commitment and then using the trifecta between how you feel inside, how you look outside, and your state of mind. See, when you make a commitment to making those three work for you, it is unstoppable. You will just be energized beyond your comprehension of what you're able to do. And there you go. Mikey's story was a classic example. So this year, add in some physical activity. You'll see me out on the bike at New Year's Day. You know, at New Year's, I ride the bike to make a habit of it. I'm going to, you know, I could take the car. I go and ride my bike because it's hard. I want to let the year know I'm finishing strong. Everybody else is like, oh, it's cold out there and it's wet out there. I want to finish the year on a high. And I also want to start the next year on a high. So the last day of the year, I ride my bike. First day of the year, I ride my bike. Wind, rain, snow, sleet, cold, doesn't matter. You go out and get it done. And that tactical edge you get will give you so much power. On that note, we have a Mount Mindset Grand Finale climb. 29th of December, we're doing Conic Hill. Our favourite, Conic Hill is the iconic Mount Mindset location. We're going to go there, get yourselves along. It's free to come along, get involved. We'll climb up Conic. We'll meet the crew. We'll all go up together. We'll have new Mount Mindset hats, and we'll finish the year strong, because the crew started something special this year, and it'd be great to give this year a sign off, and then we'll get some coffees and ice cream at the bottom if it's not too cold. We can have an ice cream, and if it's too cold, we'll probably get ourselves a cup of coffee to hold, or a cup of tea, whatever takes your fancy. So the next one was Thomas Martinez. Now, in September this year, I went out to see Thomas in Portugal. He is, aka the cycling tattooist, built up a great YouTube channel, recording his exploits on his bike. Actually a BMXer initially, and then found his way into road cycling, and is by the name the cycling tattooist. He also is a tattoo artist. So he moved out to Portugal for the better weather, and put up an event called Cycling Paradise. And I thought, just like most things are a bit of a gimmick, but was blown away by the 4 days of just incredible scenery and views out there. The sunshine was nice, the hills were tough and challenging, but the views, the location, the history, what a privilege just to be out there. Myself and a few of my friends made our way out there, joined Thomas on his inaugural event, and we had a great time. While we were out there, we jumped and done a podcast. So we set up a podcast whilst we were there for the 4 or 5 days. And one of the things that we dug into Thomas's story, I mean, you wouldn't think that this guy at any point in his time would have lacked confidence or security about himself or any sort of self-value. But I mean, hearing his story was about, that doubt, that, not sure that he fitted in, and that he knew pretty early on that he didn't really fit into any, stereotype or any hole. So he was in this no man's land, whilst growing up, where he didn't really have a place to belong as such. And rather than letting that get in his way, he carved his own way. And that's an incredible story about, being, that word that gets thrown about is being true to yourself. And it's like, what does that really mean? What does being true to yourself mean? And Thomas was an example of that. He didn't try to fit one or the other. He just asked himself, it's like, what is it that I want to be? And he carved out his own style and his own way of going about it. And he's got this, really cool, sort of unique way about him that is easy to see. So it's easy to see now, but it would have been difficult then, making those decisions. And it shows the power of making those choices to not fall into the idea of being pigeonholed or stereotyped, and have the courage to just forge your own path, wherever that may be and wherever it takes you. And there's a guy, hat off to him, done amazing, still doing amazing, made the call young and went from strength to strength, and he overcame that self-doubt to form the identity that he's got. And you can tell that a lot of people like that, what he's created, because what he's created is this personal brand of who he is. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He does great content. He puts that creative streak out there. He puts a lot of time and effort into what he does. And if that sounds like you, then he is a great role model to look to. You tell yourself he doesn't have all the answers, and that's part of the experience. So remember, just because you don't have all the answers, and just because you have a bit of doubt, it's part of the process. And you can make a success of it. And Thomas Martinez was a prime example of that. So we roll on. Big Adam. So Big Adam, we had a great few episodes with Big Adam, notorious because he is a fucking giant of a man. He's a big, creepy looking bastard. He must be 6'5", 20 stone lean, covered in tattoos, and I think he's allergic to smiling, although we did get a few smiles out of him. But what we went over was, what it takes to be a success. I mean, a lot of the things in bodybuilding is one of these sports that superficially people think it's all the performance enhancing agents that they take, or it's just sort of a show sport and that type of thing. People don't realise the dedication that goes into this, and to get to that level, you need to be dedicated, on the verge of selfish, and it shows the discipline and dedication you have, because the diet's 24/7. The prep, you need to be on it all the time. Some of these preps are 16, 20, 24 weeks out from the show that they want to achieve, and then they're also going through the mental battle, because it's the mental battles arguably are the biggest ones. And what we dug into in those podcasts was the mental aspect of this, the doubt, the things not appearing, as quickly as you would like, or setbacks, or having these big decisions to make that can impact the results that you're going to have, in a further down the line in your season. So it was really, really cool to go into that, and I think that that's the side of bodybuilding that a lot of people miss. They don't understand the mental aspect, or how much dedication and discipline goes into it. And I think that Big Adam done an incredible job of explaining that in the no BS kind of way, where he didn't hold anything back. He was open about his diet, his routine, what performance enhancements he was taking. There was nobody that could say that this guy was saying anything, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. This guy just put it out there, and like it or not, that was what he did. And just look at the results, from at one point thinking that he wasn't sure if he was done with the sport, to then 2.5 months later, we're sitting in the studio talking about, how he just won his pro card. So the power of the mind wins again. A great episode. So look, if you've got something that you want to go out there, you want to do, you want to achieve success, the best way to do it is get locked in, take the bumps, know that failure is part of the process, and doubt will creep in. Beat doubt, defeat doubt. Right? If you don't remember anything, defeat doubt. Do not let that inner bitch get a hold of you. So I thought we'd end on this one because it was quite a funny one. We had Big Mikey and Robbie threw in. Now, Robbie was funny. Just a character. I mean, the guys have a friendship going back years, and it was the very first time that I'd met Robbie. So to go as deep and profound as we did, the world of jiu-jitsu, his own misconceptions about the fear and anxiety taking the leap and getting into the business world, and how does someone that's an employee do that, and speaking from that point of view that hasn't made that leap was just a fantastic sort of way of seeing the mind of someone that's yet to take that leap but curious about it, and then worrying about things like the things that we all do, at some point worry about bills and family, and there was other things that we just shot him down in flames for because he was just getting run away. And the thing that came out of that episode was the male camaraderie, right? And he said that himself. He says he needed strong male influences in his life to be like, hey, look, we're going to hold you account, we're going to take the piss, right? We're going to give you it tight, we're going to we're going to play rough, because that's what boys do. You look at boys playing, they're rough, and that's what men need. Like, men need other men. And you can take all the overtones out of that. They just need their brothers. They need those people to rub off. They need them to be held to account, like, because the energy's good and it's strong. And that was what was good about this episode, was you see that come out in Robbie over the 3 hours that we did that. And it's the same with women. Women need other women, and it's not bracketed to the sexes. I mean, some women just prefer talking to men because they can't be bothered with women, and us guys totally get it. I say that in jest, for all the feminist warriors out there, not naming any names, you know who you are, but you get what I mean. The right energy amongst the right energy creates a superpower of energy. It just has that cumulative, has that force multiplier of feeling good. And get that from people, because sometimes the news and the media and, maybe even getting stuck in your own thoughts, get around good people, their habits will rub off on you. Even if it's a bit of rough and tumble, that's quite good. So whatever you get up to this year, have a great year. Finish your year strong. If you want to come to the Mount Mindset Climb, get yourself along. 29th of December, we're going to climb Conic Hill. Get in touch on my socials if you want to know the date, the times. We'll be releasing them very soon. We've got the Mount Mindset crew. They're going to be there in force. We're also going to be organising a cold water dip at the end of the year. So we're going to finish the year strong. We've got big plans. We're going to plan a retreat. So if you want to get really, really in depth and lock in your mindset, we're going to be doing an event very, very soon. So stand by for the details. But most of all, get the most out of 2025. Whatever your plan is, get a one-track mind. Know that failure is part of the process. Do not fear it. Doubt can be beat. Starting is number one. And consistency will get you there. Build a bit of belief in yourself. You will not doubt it. Whatever you do, smash it out of the park. I hope you guys have an amazing festive time off. I look forward to seeing you if you're at the Mount Mindset climb, and have an amazing 2025. And from me, this week, this episode, and this year, that's a wrap.